And we're live on a Friday, and it's still daylight. Let's see, Thumper's here early, says he's listening in the shop. It's 71 degrees, so he's enjoying it by working. I'm glad the snow's finally melted there. Twisted Mopar Dennis says stand by for action and good evening. Lars is here. Unfinished project. The two that keep the gates and make sure that the peace is maintained. My Aunt Nancy is here. Frankenstein C20 says he's all signed up for the 5th annual No Name Nationals. Yes, he is. And if you still need to, the link is pinned at the top. Don't forget, when you register, not only do you help the event and guarantee your spot, but get your Edelbrock incentive 10 to 15% off everything in their catalog. A very worthy perk that they were nice enough to give us. Mohawk is here. The one-eyed cat, Don English. Temperatures going up next week. Yes, they are. It's going to be a beautiful week upcoming. Bigfoot Marks is off work in 20 minutes. Right on. If you've put in a long day like we have, it's time to get off work. Colleen Tebow is here. Cop Car Steve. The Great Wet North. Yes, it's raining. Wrong English is here. Dan E. Boy. Left Turn Dodge. I have decent internet. Yeah, well, it's because I'm not coming to you from the studios. I'm coming to you from Larry's Pneumatic Service in downtown Bluefield, West Virginia. To show you what kind of neighborhood it is around here, my friend Ben sends me this. It's a cigarette butt laying out front. He says, I guarantee you that won't be here in the morning because somebody walking along out here will take it and smoke the last 2 puffs left on it. And it was gone the next day. That tells you what a charming neighborhood this is. Kerosene Cucumbers is here, as is Heaven's Mopar Scott, says ladies and gents. Indiana Garage, oh howdy, how you doing? Who's your Adam? Good to see you in here. The Mid-South Lowballer, who's now running second in the No Name 500. Because our most recent graduate, Mostly Mopar, who is here right now, he had his 500 moment here a few days ago. He is in. Who's going to make it next? Because we've got, I believe, 7 channels running, and all of them are short of halfway. Who's going to be the next to make it in the No Name 500? Give us your guess in the chat. If you don't know where to find a complete listing of No Name 500 contenders, it's on my main YouTube page. They're all right there. No wonder they don't chew tobacco. Well, I'm sure they do that too. Of course, all the vaping and dispensary and all that's, of course, taken off here. I have that dirt track thing. I don't know anything about it. It's just something they're doing. I don't know that we're using or whatever. I don't know yet. Not the time to ask those questions. We don't know. We have no idea about the liability or what and when or any of that. So all that's got to get figured out. I don't even know what it's going to do with our camping situation or any of that. So hold that question. It's something new we're going to figure out. Indiana Garage says the Duster is ready for paint this weekend after 4 long years. I got to tell you, though, to do that car in 4 years, considering the extent that you've done it, yeah, I mean, that's legit. That's actually a lot of work for that amount of time. Colleen says the Mid-South Lowballer's link is right here. He says it looks like it might be a keeper. I'm telling you, a place is rough when he says that he has a cigarette butt can out front out here, and they pilfer it for partials. And then there's a parts store down the street that they pilfer for butts to smoke too. Lumpy is here. Graham Pedo Vic. Howdy, sir. Pure Pontiac Garage. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, Left Turn Dodge. We got to figure all that out. That's something that they do, something else. We got to figure out what, if anything, to do with that. I don't know yet. So hang on to that. That's a track thing. It's nothing we commission. Gen X Empty Nesters, GXEN, howdy. Matthew Ward 627, aka 6th Street Garage. You know, you can, if you want to put 6th Street Garage for your handle, you can make that change if you wish to. Yeah, this place, about what they do here is just tear down a new building. You know, every now and then, or tear an old building down and make a new vacant lot. Like right across the street here, there used to be, I can actually, you know what, this time of day, I could probably get a half decent picture. This is what we look at across the street here. Why this phone is locked and it won't just rotate a photo like it used to, but anyway. So this is the view across the street. There was an old gas station there. Literally about a couple weeks ago, there was a gas station there, and it's been torn down. It'd been roached and shut down. And then there's a bridge that goes over to the north side of town. That's right on the other side of the bridge where the fire station used to be when my dad was a fireman. And now the fire station is right beside this building on this side of the bridge. And then that bridge goes over top of the highest point in the railroad system, right there. Highest point of the railway, right directly across from us. And you can see the canopy is still over where the gas pumps used to be. That's what's across the street. I like it here. It's a good place to work. Used to be much more entertaining. Used to have a lot of just craziness go on out here. But before COVID, from about 2008, when the economy took a nosedive and scrap went up and all that stuff. So about 2008 till before COVID, it was wild out here. I mean, constantly you'd have scrap banded street people getting in fights, prostitutes, all kinds of stuff going on out here. And it's nothing like that anymore. It's calmed way down. It's a lot deader now. But I used to see all this stuff, and I thought, man, if only, because see, that stuff stopped and it kind of tapered off right as my channel ramped up. But if I had been doing, streams 10 years ago, I would be doing them live, camera going out that way just to see what all goes on while we were live. It was crazy. Cop Car Steve says, if you buy a car in Mississippi, do you have to get it inspected to put plates on it and insurance in Tennessee? I have no idea. That'd be a good question for someone like Mean Street Mopar or Charger 383 Mopar William, because or Travis's Mopar Garage, because those guys all live right in that area on the Tennessee-Mississippi border. Those would be the people I would ask. Hello, Grandma Vic. I saw you there. Turbo Tom. Well, Turbo Tom, did you ride all the coasters and show them who was boss? Yeah, well, this is true. Mid-South Lowball, he'd be another one to ask. That's right. No inspection in Tennessee. Yeah, I know there's no vehicle inspection there. He needed the title, yeah. Cop Car Steve said, I got in contact with somebody in Mississippi who sells Crown Victorias, but I want to put insurance and plates on in Tennessee. Well, I know one time I went out to California to bring a car back and got a one-trip permit to drive it back to Virginia. Grandma Vic asks how I'm doing. Reasonably well. If you didn't see the thumbnail, or even if you didn't know what it was, this is what we were doing here today. I had to put new drive belts on the mower. Had to do that. And then we worked on this monstrosity this afternoon. This is, of course, the big hole in the world. We put the fence up, fastened the tarp down better, took that piece off that we attempted to use for a water break on it. Didn't work. That was a failed experiment. Oh, hey, and while I was here, I found a tire worse than one that I would run right here. Check that out. I think that's a trailer tire of some kind. Oh, and while we're talking about Bluefield, and this is going to make news pretty well, the dude used to be the store manager down here at O'Reilly. He's been arrested on a second-degree murder charge. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting down here. It's a sketchy place. What can I say? I'm glad to be from here. I'm glad to maintain a second home here. I mean, I am here a lot, and I got my own place here, but it's glad this is not my daily base anymore. Mid-South Lowballer says, if you're doing a vehicle title transfer in Shelby County, which is the Memphis area, it has to be done downtown. None of the branch offices work. Well, that's interesting. He says the only issue could be proof of residence. Okay. Dakota says it happens. Dan, the IT guy. Howdy. Glad you all are here. Cop car Steve, that's one thing I have to figure out. Can I buy and insure a car in Tennessee even though I live in Canada? Well, I mean, I'm sure there's ways to do it that aren't on the up and up, but I mean, I don't know what you're asking. Crampito fixes that car someone else's. His mind does not look like that. Most of Mopar says Pole Bar Garage shared the business card for a guy that gets him titles for abandoned cars he buys in his latest videos. Not sure about the cost, but it's an option. Yeah, I saw some of this action right here today. This is what the English boys were doing today. They got the Valiant apart. We see more content on that soon. Lars has finally got 300,000 miles on his Honda. Just getting started. I have got to get that carburetor changed on my van. The one that's on it is just horrible. But we're going to do that soon. Get another 250 easy. Well, the CRV needs a transmission at 378. So, I think the pump on it is worn out. I'm thinking that's what it is. But the bottom line is I got to pull it to change pump anyway. So. And transmissions are cheap and abundant for that thing. They're everywhere. So that's what I'm going to do. The weather's really nice. It's time. I did not want to do it in February. So I'm going to do it in my favorite place to work, which is not in the garage. It's out on the concrete behind the house. Just a perfect spot. Love it. Concrete, it's shaded, it's level. It's right by the garage. It's between the garage and the kitchen. Just perfect. Blue Grit Garage only has 80,000 miles on its 95 F-250. I remember when 80,000 was like a high mileage car. That's nothing anymore. Turbo Tom's still riding more roller coasters in southern Atlanta. Jay Junker's got new tires in the van, ready to race whenever you are. Let me show you what my tires looked like yesterday. There's the right front on the van. It's only through two layers of belts. And then I do have a couple of spares. You know, the good spare, the big spare. Left Turn Dodge has 180,000 miles on his Jeep Compass. Transmission left the chat. Yeah, they do that. Grand Pito Vic's got 170 on the Crown Vic when he sold the engine and transmission. Danny Boyd's 338,000 mile Corolla's been nickel and diming him. Yeah. Wrong English 97,000 on an 08 Malibu with no rust. Cool. Cop Car Steve said those tires deserve to be on the front lawn of the garbage can. They will be. And I don't think it's ball joints. I actually think it's from the wheel bearing problem I've got on the left front. So I'm going to check out the wheel bearing this week, and I'm going to do some tires this week and all that good stuff. Got a few things I got to do. As long as they hold wind, they're still useful. Yep. Oh, yeah. It'll roll around. Grand Pito Vic's 2018 Kia Soul became his wife's back and forth to work car at 150,000. Beat the brakes off it. Yeah. Cop Car Steve has got his truck on jack stands, the wheels off. Yeah. Blue Grit's waiting on it. Getting an engine back from the machine shop. They had it for 2 months. I'll tell you what, for a machine shop, that's just getting started waiting on one. That's pretty funny, actually. I know some people who would appreciate that. JB is here. Well, JB, did you get your roof done? Grand Pito Vic said he was trying to blow it up. Well, you had to try harder. Thumper was outside working till the wind knocked the power out. That's a bummer. Yeah, Left Turn Dodge is 2 months. Usually it takes them 3 years, 2 years. Yeah. Yeah. JB's got the front done. Yeah, I'm getting ready to do a roof on a property over here. Need to order everything for it. I may be doing that here Monday. Evans Mopar Scott. A while ago, Dad bought a dead 66 Valiant for $75. It must be really dead. Slant 6 had 275,000. Dropped the pan, put new rod and main bearings in it. Dad then put 250,000 on it before it gave up. Yeah, sounds plausible. So it's a 66. Which slant was that? Was it a 170? I'm sure it wasn't a 198. Thumper says his machinist is pretty quick, but he takes him his stuff in June and picks it up in September because that's when I go home. He can do it faster than that, but I don't pressure him. Yeah, that's reasonable. Now, I tell you, the machinist in Christiansburg, he turns stuff around. That he does. Some of them do and some of them don't. And some of them are just so backed up. A lot of machine shops just become more selective. Like, there's one in Roanoke I used to take stuff to, but they've got all they can do, commercial stuff, big diesel stuff. They have a crank grinder that they can do crankshafts for a locomotive there. And they've got one on display, and it is unbelievable. And it's what they do. Cop Car Steve says, if you show up day of, can you buy spectator tickets? I'm assuming you're talking about the No Name Nationals. And yes, you can. You get a discount for buying online. We give you $5 off a weekend pass for both days if you buy early. But if you buy at the gate, it's $20 a day. Grand Pito Vic says those old slants and Ford 300s will be going into a second chassis if you just change the oil. Yeah, they're reliable. They run a long time. Yeah, all good machinists are backed up. Just Tim's backed up, but he wants to get things done. Yep. A good machinist has all the work he wants and more. Thumper says, just sign up to race. You get in and can get discounts from Edelbrock. This is true. If you're a registered participant, you get 10 to 15% off everything in Edelbrock's catalog. And those catalog prices are already comparable with Summit and Jegs. So it's a good deal. It really is. We have a lot of people taking advantage of that. What size tires on the van? 235, 75, 15. I've got 3 of them, though, Don. I just got to put them on this week. But I got tires. I'm going to have good tires on it this week. Cop Car Steve is seeing if he can squeeze in a wedding and fly down to Tennessee. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You can come see us. It'll be a blast. St. Louis is about 2 hours north of Sikeston, a 2-hour drive. It's about the same for Memphis. Memphis is 2 hours to the south, and St. Louis is 2 hours to the north. Memphis is definitely sketchier to fly in and out of, though. Dom's got 2 out there at 14s. Yeah, the van's a 235, 75, 15. Yeah, Cop Car Steve be able to be a spectator. Understandable. Well, you'll have a blast. And you'll not only do I predict you'll have a good time, but I predict you'll say, I want to bring my car next year. Mostly Mopar said my favorite local machinist had a stroke a year ago and had to close his shop. Yeah, that happens. Gen X Empty Nester says our house is an hour and a half away. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all there. Chris is back in West Virginia. I was just there yesterday. Well, what part of West Virginia were you in? Because I'm as far south in the state as you could possibly go. There is nowhere farther south in the state than Bluefield. Yeah, the one-eyed cat is getting ready for battle in September. Yeah, I got some interesting content coming up this week. JB says he's not scared. He's not scared to get on the roof. Clarksburg, yeah, well, that's the other end of the state, my man. Am I down by the Virginia line? The Virginia state line is a couple of miles that way. And the place where I live here is even closer than that. It's about a half a mile from the state line. In fact, my grandfather, when he lived in the house that's next door, I have the whole property, but when he lived in the house, he used to walk to get a haircut the same place I do, and the barber shop is in Virginia. BRG Chris put up a community post. He's got his burnout machines for sale. You got any hits on any of that, Chris? What's your go-to brand of tires? Well, for stuff I have that's just roachy old front ends and out of alignment and stuff like that, I got a place that I buy tires from. I call it Mexico Tire. It's a guaranteed tire in Roanoke, and I get used tires there. They're the only place that stocks anything. I used to get a lot of tires from a couple different places, but they never have anything good used there. Guaranteed Tires still has a lot of used tires, a lot of inventory. And so I get all my used there, get a good price, carry them out. It gives me a good cash price. But if I'm buying tires for something where I want to set, something with a good front end and all that good stuff, depends on the vehicle. I mean, for years, when I was in high school, college, I ran the old Goodyear Eagle STs. I think they look great. For a sticky tire, I like a Mickey Thompson, just because that's what I ran in the day and have many times. Busted Radio Garage says all have buyers. I have some legal stuff to handle with them, trademarks and such, but they are gone. Wow. Everything? All have buyers? Everything you posted? And you say trademarks and stuff. I mean, what are you removing, like wraps and stuff like that, or? One-Eyed Cat says to beat JB will feel good, but he'll be happy to make some decent runs. This is his year. I agree. This is the year of the Cat. Cat had all the hardware there, but it just had more to do to get it to gel. But he's got time. In fact, he's got 131 days, 3 hours, and 31 minutes, and I think he's gonna have it all together. Don's gonna bring the heat this year. We'll actually find out what that car can do. Won't have much gear, but I think it'll have a lot more power. Thumper likes Cooper Cobras for street tires, or Nittos if they're larger than 15. Sticky Mickeys are my choice. Dakota says that light car at the 440 is going to be the stuff. We'll see. We'll see what it can do with. It's got airplane gears in it, like a 245 or 247 gear or something. Danny Boyd thinks he's going to be close to the 8s. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Indecisive Garage Tim says listening while dry rubbing some short ribs for the smoker tomorrow. Wow. Evans Mopar says putting the 8 3/4 in the Valiant this year, and Don says not with my gears. So that might be a 2027 thing, the 8 3/4. We will see. Yeah, the gears won't be hard, really. Take a rear end out anything and just make it. He already has, I believe, an A-body 8 3/4, I think. Don't you, Don? Don't you have one? He says, yeah, all have their own merch and designs. Yeah, right. Oh, wow. Noisy Cricket's going to Australia. Man. The Grim to Florida and Mozilla to Michigan. Wow. Interesting. Cop Car Steve says, What's the consensus? Dry rub barbecue or wet barbecue? What is best, or is it subjective to the person? Well, I really like that somebody from Canada can actually ask an intelligent question about barbecue, because a lot of people from the North cannot. They think that barbecue is a cookout or something, and it's not. So you've asked a good question, but let's see what the chat says. Danny Boyd says wet barbecue sauce, dry rub on your mashed potatoes. We need a North Carolinian to opine on this. Don says, I have 2 8 3/4, but not for a body. I picked them up because they were cheap, barter item. You know, you can still use them. And the way you got tires stuck out the fenders, it wouldn't make any difference anyway. Busted Radio Garage says he's changing his channel direction, still owns 2 burnout cars, Homer and Butterbean. Burnouts will not be the main focus of the channel. Dr. Go says just under 132 days. And the day I realized the sockets were missing are still in my unpacked trunk from September 2026. You mean 2025? No Name Nationals. I best get my priorities straight. No kidding. We all have that kind of thing going on. That it will be here before we know it. I'm telling you, there's not nearly as much time as people think. Blue Grit says the answer to wet or dry barbecue is yes. JB says the rub. Yeah, JB likes that. He's the ribs guy. He says dry rub with some sweet baby rays. Can't beat it. Little smoke makes it all good. Grand Pedo Vic says barbecue is like Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, up to the person. I despise Southern vinegar-based North Carolina, and that's the kind in your area. Your area is famous for that very barbecue. Heavens Mopars, I think Don bought an 8 3/4 from Indiana Garage. Well, Adam narrows them. Adam can narrow it to be an 8-body, 8 3/4. Narrow it to those specs or any other. He's got the setup bar and everything to do it there. Mostly Mopar prefers wet barbecue and doesn't want it to be sweet. Grand Pedo Vic says North Carolina is famous for it, but I'm from South Florida. Are you from South Florida originally? Like born and raised there? Grew up there? Evans Mopars will soon be having a drive line shortened for the Duster. Cool. Cop Car Steve says the best barbecue I had was when we made a left-hand turn from my brother-in-law's house and went to the hood and got some barbecue. Okay. We got a little out-of-the-way chicken place over in Radford. This little hole in the wall. You would never think anything if you drove by it. And man, is their chicken good. Good pressure-fried chicken. Jay's Junker says he'd take a seafood broil over a barbecue, but that's his opinion. Yeah, it's all subjective. It's whatever people like. Indirect Connection Jason is here. Grand Peto Vic is outside Lakeland. Is that Bartow, Florida? Is that right? Grew up in Lakeland, Mulberry, and Fort Lauderdale. Farmed when he was young. Moved to North Carolina, was 24. Okay. Cool. So you're an actual Floridian. Most of them there aren't now, especially in South Florida. Cop Car Steve said the one thing on my bucket list is a crawfish bowl with the corn and the potatoes and stuff. I have eaten that exact meal visiting friends in Louisiana, and it was wonderful. Cletus here? I didn't see him. If Cletus sneaked in, I didn't see him. One-Eyed Cat says, we have a store that sells chicken by the pound after 9 p.m. But you can get a bucket full for $20, chicken for days. Well, that sounds interesting and sketchy. Ah, there's Cletus. Didn't see you sneak in. Glad you're here. And as is Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn, I again have his Hoopty shirt. Again. Andrew Nelson says, what's everybody doing tonight? We're all around the table working on a Holly double pumper. Listen to the live. Cold beer might be involved. Andrew Nelson, you guys going to be home this upcoming weekend? Not as in tomorrow and Sunday, but the next Saturday, Sunday? Dr. Go says, when No Name Nationals gets closer, please offer me some tips on how I can help with that big meal track. Yeah, we're doing that. That community cookout, we love it. It's a good thing. We'll get on organizing that. Usually after Memorial Day, we start pinning down logistics. Cool. Left Turn Dodge says when he was in high school, he worked at KFC. We ate free chicken for a year and half. Year and a half. My dad loved it. Oh, yeah, my dad would have loved it too. He'd been all about that. SSR Performance says, hello, everyone. Dan, the IT guy, says Garrett Farms here in Kentucky has the best smoked barbecue of he's ever eaten. Briskets like smoky meat butter. Yeah, just got to be people know what they're doing. We used to have a great barbecue joint there in Christiansburg. Some South Carolinians came up and opened it. And it was good stuff. And they closed down. And they still have, they had one, then they had another in Roanoke. And supposedly they still have the one in Roanoke, but they had one right down the road from me. This is from Indecisive Garage, something he's working on. Two-rub mixture with Sweet Baby Ray's on the side. Did they have boiled peanuts since they were from South Carolina? No, I don't remember that on their menu at all, but they had some really good food. I miss that place. Slant Daily Garage says, what's up, suckers? Professor P is here. Professor P is a good dude. He helped me decipher a cam for someone yesterday. Made sense of all the numbers on the end of it. Big James, I saw. SSR Performance. Howdy. Bruce is here. Finished Cerakoting my truck and car. Still happy. Hey, Bruce, shall I show them that picture of your before and after? You said you were going to try that product out. I'll show them the before and after if it's okay. All right, let's see if I can get this. If I can. Well, having trouble finding it. I can't pull it up in my email, Bruce. I could see where you sent it to me. He had some before and afters using that stuff. I thought it turned out really well. I don't know, James. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. We got to figure that out. Yeah, I tell you one thing. It's not going to be a bunch of craziness at midnight. Yeah, Bruce, if you don't mind, send them again because I can pull them up. I'll show people. And it took a bunch of camping, I heard. So I don't know. We got to figure that out. Hold on. I don't need to hold on. I mean, I don't feel like I'm going to shut the live down and run. Chris 103 Customs. Mostly Mopar says, rebuilt the Holly 850 for my 71 sweat blind today. The only problem I had was my wife thought I was working on a honeydew list. Well, yeah, I guess that is a problem. SSR's shop is behind Paducah Bank. The only time I ever go through that area is back and forth to Sykeston. Oh no. Grampito Vic, I don't know how much longer I'll be able to get tire codes. The Fayetteville plant is supposed to close by December 27th. Hopefully it's not sooner. Yikes. That's where you're working? Well, if it does, what are you going to do? You're only a year older than me, so I don't guess you're retiring. That's a good idea. Just tell the wife you're celebrating your 500 subs and you had to rebuild the carburetor, keep the momentum going. Hey, if she'll buy that, that's a good one. That'll work. Crampito Vic says when the Goodyear plant closes, you'll have to find another manufacturer plant to work around here. Yeah. I don't know, man. Well, I hope it keeps you gainfully employed as long as it can. So this is something my friend Ben sent me. It's very interesting. I'm assuming this is out. I know this is Bluefield, West Virginia. I don't even know where this is. I'd have to find it. But it's a quarter-mile dirt track that was open from 59 to 67 here. I need to go investigate that and do a video on it. Apparently there's houses there now, but there's a layout of where the track used to be. That is interesting. Looks like it would be hard to find. Cousin Cletus says, is the next step in the No Name 500 now? All the Beans has added about 2 subs in 2 months. So I don't know what they're doing, but I'll tell you what, Jay's Junkers is coming. He wants to be next. He's got, like 82 subscribers, but he's moving. So we'll see. I have no idea who will be next. All the Beans is about 219. And then the Mid-South Lowballer is 110. And then Dove Stovall, let's see, Nodak Speed Shop, Jay's Junkers, Plymouth on Plywood. I believe we've got 7 running, and none of them are yet to 250s, but there's plenty of time for all of them, so we will see. Chris 103 Customs says Charles Goodyear had a plant here on Staten Island, I believe, vulcanizing before his name made it big. Dakota said, any of y'all doing the Highway 11 yard sale this weekend? I wouldn't even know what it is, although that's my favorite number. Cop Car Steve says David Freiberger toured the country and looks for old tracks, dirt tracks, etc. Yeah, so I've done a video of the old Princeton Dragway, which is north of here. It's actually in Athens, West Virginia. It's just outside of Princeton. And we did a tour video of that and showed the old strip and where the pits were and all that stuff. That one's easy for me to find because I was there when it was open and remember it and everything. And that's one that people wouldn't even know that ever used to be a dragway, but they built a trailer park on it. It's completely covered up now. But some of these places, you wouldn't know where they were, like Big Al's Dragway in Richlands. I'd like to visit it, and it's kind of in somebody's field and all grown over and very little to see there. And then this track I didn't even know about, this 1/4 mile dirt over in Bluefield. Here we go. So here's Bruce's before using the Cerakote. And here's his after. Looks like it did pretty good. Thank you. Danny Boy says, I want to go to George Ray's. Me too. I was supposed to go to George Ray's in 2021 and we got rained out. So maybe 1 year. A field, can we asphalt it? I'm assuming it's just a private landowner has it now. I saw an aerial picture where somebody highlighted where it used to be. It closed in the 80s. But and I never went there. I've been to Princeton a bunch of times, but not Big Al's. It's the other way. Kim fixes things. Hello. Racer Races. There's an old dirt track just outside my hometown. Only found out about it because the towing company used it for storage. Had to get a friend's car out of jail there. Grand Pedo Vic likes Freiberger's travel history videos. You know what's funny? I was driving on I-40 through Tennessee one time, and I remember passing this little shortened up. Someone took a 4-door Lincoln and shortened it down into a 2-door, but it was real short, super short wheelbase, goofy looking blue and white thing. And I passed it driving, thought it was neat, drove on by, never thought anything about it. I found out months later that was Freiberger and Finnegan in that car going somewhere. So Slant Daily Garage. Who's going to make it to WAF Racing tomorrow? Chris 103 Customs. I was correct. At his low, he was living in an abandoned rubber factory with his family on the island. Could you imagine the smell of living in an abandoned rubber factory? Kim asks, will Freiberger make time to visit No Name Nationals this year? I don't know. Y'all should invite him. I don't know him. I mean, he's got 500 plus subscribers. He's welcome to come out. Big Mike says, we had a local dirt track until the 80s. Now it's TRG Recycling Center. Professor P is leaving for WAF Racing at 7 a.m. Hope to see you there. Grand Pito Vic's going to start commenting on his videos about No Name Nationals. Yeah, that's the way. If you want to see him to come out, we need a bunch of you to go over there and tell him he should in his comments. That's what you should do. Now, Kim's going to WAF Racing. Chris says, I think he likes Yingling. That would really get the word out. Oh, I'm telling you, if there's anybody you want to see come to No Name Nationals, you guys are the recruiters. Tell those channels. It means a lot more coming from all of the people who watch them than it does just for me. But, I mean, I'd love to, have anybody who wants to come and wants to be cool. JB's got to run because it's time to start dinner. That's cool. Well, Ben and I, we ate at Wendy's. Finished our big mess with the tarp and all that stuff up there. Got it done. Had enough time that we could get a bite to eat before the live this time. Yeah, I had to get some mower repair done here today because I got a bunch of mowing to do this weekend. Cousin Cletus says No Name Nationals is my favorite YouTuber event. We were a YouTuber event before there was YouTuber events. There were other events where people went and did social media, but No Name Nationals was built on that from the beginning. Dan the IT guy says No Name Nationals is the place to go. I would agree. Grand Pito Vic says I tell everyone about No Name Nationals on their channels and in person. Yeah, right on. You're a great you're a great promoter. We want to see you there in person. So Thumper just made baked chicken and rice again. That sounds great. That's hard to beat. Really, it is. Cousin Cletus says, Dan, am I going to see you this year? We'd sure like him to come out. Dan, the IT guy says, yep, me and wife will be there. Well, we certainly hope so. You guys live close enough. JB says to Mohawk, you'd be surprised what these hands can do. JB's a capable guy. Lars says, lots of mowing indeed. Don't forget to set the brake, folks. Yeah, speaking of folks, I saw where Rich has come back, and now his channel is Automotive Restorations again. So Cletus says he's bringing a whole gang of people again this year. Yep. If y'all come and have a good time. Dizzy says, didn't have time to wash the Vagrant. Supposed to be raining here at midnight. See you at WAF Racing. Loaded up. Cool. Mean Street Mopar sneak in here on us. Ah, there he is. Howdy, Ken. One-eyed cat says can't go wrong with biscuits and gravy. I'm not a gravy person, but I like the biscuits. I like them butter or apple butter. Big Mike says, I have an affliction. When I see something that captures my attention in a state auction, I'll drive 150 miles to see if I've got a shot at it. Well, my go-to are pasta dishes. Because of Cletus. French fried taters. Of course, I'm here at a mower repair shop, as I read that. Dougster's here. Howdy, sir. Main Street, Stovall Farms and Garage. Hello, everybody. Just heading home from work. Glad you could make it. I've been seeing you moving up and making progress and posting videos. So you're moving up. You might overtake the Mid-South Lowballer for third in the No Name 500. I think you're third now, moving up to second. Danny Boy loves pasta with ground beef and marinara, lots of Parmesan. Danny Boy would like the baked pasta that I make. Izzy says, Dino, you're amazing. Upside down, but can see better than most. Colleen puts up the link to Stovall's channel. Dougster says I sound stuffy. I'm okay. I don't know. I mean, I'm fine. I've just been out getting it, working on stuff all day. I had to do drive belts on the mower, and those are never any fun. You got to spend a lot of time laying under it and snaking the belts all around and taking a lot of pulleys off and all that stuff. Broken extension doing it too. Danny Boy says, in the old days, I'd make a whole box of noodles, then dump a whole container of Parmesan. Yeah, I got a recipe where I just make 16 ounces of pasta at a time. And then I cut it all up and save it in bowls. And that way I can just pull out a bowl, pull off the plastic, heat it up, and eat it. And that way I got several meals made at one time. Indecisive Garage says there's a speed shop in Toledo, Ohio closing down. I scored a Willwood front and rear 4-piston brake set for the S10 under $1,000. Sounds nice. Dizzy's talking about pot roast with potatoes and carrots and gravy. Danny Boyd says Italian and Mexican are my favorite foods. I can go along with that. I can go with that. Yeah, I got my favorite Mexican joint and a few favorite Italian places. I got one favorite Mexican place where I live, and I got probably three Italian places I really like there. Junkyard Jay is cooking up some steak, corn, and taters. Okay. Thumper bakes up a tray of chicken at a time, eats all week. Yep. Yeah, that's what I do. I'll cook and then have food for days. Well, it's like, I got here, got a big pizza, and I could just save it and eat on it. That's the ticket. Ray Soray will take his leftovers early in the week for lunches at work. Yep, that's a good idea. Graham Pito likes his cornbread with northern beans. Huh. Left turn Dodge. His wife got a gift card for 2 meals at Texas Roadhouse today. Now I have to drive 45 minutes each way for steaks aren't as good as at home. Well, that's fine. I mean, but if you're going that way anyway, will be the time to use it. Bruce is asking if I've ever been to Dino's on 221 near Willis. No, sir, I have not. I've never been there. I take it must be good, but I've never been there. Mostly Mopar asks, you guys aren't having cereal for supper? Cop Car Steve's dinner bell is ringing. Gotta go. Understand. Bruce says his absolute favorite restaurant in the area. Okay. Well, I've not been there. Looks like a dump, but don't let that fool you. Well, that doesn't fool me. Interesting. If Bruce recommends it, that's enough for me to give it a try. Although I don't know what occasion I would have to go out to Willis to try that, but that said, I would. Dougster, that joke is so bad, I'm not even going to pull it up. We might be able to do that, Bruce. Old McDonald's been to Lucky's Steakhouse for the first time last month. Yeah. I went to a cousin's last year. I hadn't been there in a very long time. That's been a year ago now. Mohawk likes all foods except Asian and Cajun stuff. Yeah, I know what you guys are talking about. Cereal. Doug Sherwood mentioned this. Battle Creek, Michigan is Cereal City, USA. Yeah, tomorrow I got to do a lot of mowing. And my mower still pops out of gear. I'm trying to figure out what causes that. I'm not brave enough to take the transaxle and that thing apart in the middle of mowing season. In the winter, I'd do it, but Bruce has got a roll so he can watch another Hallmark movie on TV. We know he enjoys them. Old McDonald says, I've never eaten a crawfish boil. Somehow sucking on a head just sounds too gay for me. Well, you don't have to do that. What you do is you just snap off the tail. Just actually eat the part of it worth eating. Doug says, check the oil in the transaxle. If I hold the shifter in first, it'll stay. Indecisive Garage says, is Dylan's 585 the fastest No Name Nationals pass? No, 519 is the event record. That was set at the third No Name Nationals, 519. And that's the quickest. The fastest is actually 140. One-Eyed Cat says, I liked our Chinese buffet until I met a guy down by the river catching carp to sell the place. I knew a guy who was a health inspector, and he just said, it's a thing. The Asian restaurants, just in his experience, all of them just rank right at the bottom for some reason. It's just, I don't know what it is. But that's the way it is in that area where he was consistently. Danny Boyd says, my Flathead Toro started on the first pull Wednesday, first of the year. Year-old start, cold start. Yeah. My mower's really good about starting up after it's been sitting my rider. Heavens Mopar says, today got all the plug welds ground down to the trunk floor of Stevens Challenger. Goals to have the trunk dropouts welded in and taillight panel installed this week. My gosh. Redbeard, no. Be Mike Foster in that Chevy S10. He had his subs. He came out. He set the event record. Won in 28-10-5. Vanished. But his truck was, his truck is too quick. It needs more cage in it. Racer Ray, the way this thing works, it's a little different. It's just it'll stay in first if you're going uphill. If you're going down, it pops out. Lars says a Chinese restaurant 15 miles south of here was on the news for washing dishes in the lake. Old McDonald's, I do enjoy eating lobster, though. I'm telling you, the crawfish is not bad. I've been to one crawfish bowl and it was delicious. It's on my channel. Grampito's going to be hanging with family and got a roll. Take care. Thanks for being here tonight. Yeah, one of my agents fried up and ate a pan of cicadas one time. He said they were good. Left Turn Dodge said in school we dissected a crawfish, then cooked them on the Bunsen burner. Not my thing. Dean Stevens said the cicadas take 17 years to regenerate. I don't know what it is about them, what they do. The 17 years. I don't know what all that means. Mid-South Lowballer says there's links to the weekly restaurant inspections here. Amazing the things you read. Doesn't matter the ethnicity chain or whatever. Just don't think about it. Well, in this guy's area, he said there's something very consistent about those restaurants, the Chinese restaurants. Just it's something so across the board about them. It's so far statistically an outlier. It's a thing. But and I don't know if there's only a few people that own a whole bunch of them, and what if there's something consistent about that or what. But in general, there's a lot of restaurants you don't want to go to. Now, I know in North Carolina, they have cleanliness scores posted right on the wall, and in all of them in North Carolina. I know a lot of the owners of the restaurants in the town where I live, and a lot of them just do run a really good program, really clean, well done, all of that. And that's a good thing, I guess. Old McDonald says summer 17 and summer 7. This is Lars says the cicadas must be adjusting their valves. Indeed, though that takes 5 years. It might take 7. Dizzy's got all the stuff for changing his cylinder heads this week or next. Cool. Yeah, old McDonald, I wouldn't spray oil on a bug. I don't even squash bugs. I don't hurt anything. Dean says that they are like the underground. They like tree stumps looking for anthracite coal. Well, we got plenty of coal here. This is coal country. Indecisive rush. I thought the valves adjusted themselves. Wendy puts up a bunch of American flags, says hello, everyone. Howdy, Wendy. It's right about you're a little bit early. Usually we see you at 9:30 Eastern. Dougster says, I was proud of how clean and well run the pizza place I used to work at was. We kept it spotless and it was easy to maintain. Good deal. There's a lot of places that are really well run. Some places just aren't. Old McDonald, I don't even know what fish flies are. Big Mike suggests that you just coat I guess your rock arms with white lithium grease. Well, I know that solves a lot of things. I know that some people think that that works better than oil pressure to the rod bearings. Dizzy says his wife's got a heart valve replaced with one from a cow. Kids call her Mama Moo. I've known a few people who've gotten that. Clean as you go, the best practice. I totally agree. I totally agree. I'm cleaning up the kitchen while I'm cooking. as I get done with things, I'm cleaning them and putting them away. I literally have the kitchen clean, everything except whatever bowl, plate, and silverware I'm using when I eat. Dope as Braden, 420 there with bongs and stuff all in his thumbnail and marijuana and whatever else that is. Says, hi everyone, it's 83 in Wisconsin, blistering hot today and tomorrow. You know, whatever it is, I'm mowing, whatever it is here, it won't be that warm, I don't think. He says, but hi from me and Faith. Well, howdy. Blue Grit says, I'm having issues getting Anna 67 ready for No Name Nationals. Might have to sideline and work on the 68 or start over and bring the wife 65. Next year, get friends together and bring the 65, 6, 7, and 8. Oh, my gosh. Well, you can bring a whole fleet if you want to. Lunar Outlaw says, how's everyone doing tonight? Well, I'm doing. It's South Lowballer. Let's not call the health department on my kitchen. I don't even call them on anybody. One-Eyed Cat says, that reminds me it's my turn to do dishes, 2 bowls, 2 cups, and a half a dozen forks. Yeah, I don't have a lot going on there, but keep it simple. Jethro doesn't get much dirty, so. Racer races, Walter, the more the merrier. Hey, indeed. Bring a fleet. Lunar says he's not a FUD because he's carrying a shield, a 45 shield, micro compact 45. That's different. Dishes don't stack long around here. Not where I am either. Big Mike says we generally eat a breakfast meal and just a couple of snacks throughout the day. Yeah, usually I do a meal at lunch and snack around that. So I'm like that too, but usually lunch is where I eat a meal. Kind of a late lunch at that. What in the world? Danny Boyd says, I tried pumping the pedal with the caliper off and then opened the bleeder and compressed it. But that didn't fix it either. Okay. Mexican Spec says when he revs his engine, his air gets colder. Lunar Outlaw Garage says, what are you working on today? Well, we were working on doing a little bit more maintenance out here where we got this hole in the world tarp, this Grand Canyon on the back of the shop. And did drive belts on the mower and just a few little odd things. Tomorrow's doing some mowing, and then pretty soon I'll be trying my hand at a garage door. I've never installed a garage door before. It'll be the first for me. So I'm going to put one on this rental house and then If it goes well and I have good results, I might try doing 2 myself at my house because my garage doors are in horrible shape. Way past time to replace them. They're old wooden doors, and they were garbage wooden doors then. Danny Boyd says he threw pads on the Corolla and the pedal wouldn't pump back up afterward. Figured the master cylinder had left the chat. Yeah, I don't know. Racer races his dishwasher's more than 50 years old. Dougster says, please be careful when winding the garage door spring. These doors, they are awful. Left turn dodges, as long as the frame is square, garage doors are not that hard. Just have to set them right to start. I've never done one before. That'll be interesting. I've never done a garage door before. And unfortunately, this is one I hate even more because it's a 14-footer. 14 by, it's 8 high, but it's 14 wide, 2-car garage door. So, Mohawk says, my dishwasher will be 64 in 3 days. Well, my dishwasher is 48, and just I do it by hand myself.
We try to rotate four places.
Danny Boyd ended up following Rob's advice and pinching off the caliper hoses. When I did the driver's side, the pedal came back. When I removed the brakes, they worked normally. Interesting. Later, Big Mike. Have a great evening. Cat's over there patrolling. Hey, Ben, I'll send you that photo.
Okay.
I got it. Ben's back there. I caught him telling a story that I had started telling him. You gotta see the amount of ridiculousness that my classmates and I share. It's great to have these guys I've been friends with for 44 years.
Oh, I had heard that.
Dean says, bye bye Blockbuster. Big Mike, did you get rid of the Blockbuster? Thought I might have that photo handy for him. Maybe I don't. Oh, I do. Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Okay.
Don't miss this. You have to see that. Look at that while you're on the phone. Any sign of the champ? Ben, when was the last time you saw the champ out here on the avenue?
Been a while.
Yeah, the champ. He used to cross right out here. You haven't seen him in a while. Danny Boyd, they closed down the Blockbusters years ago. We were talking about Big Mike's car. Indecisive Garage, is it wrong if I wipe and reuse my paper plates? I think he got the photo. What do you think about that? I cringe at the stuff that he must feed the AI machine to get the results that he does. Dougster says, when I was shopping at Menard's site for refrigerators, there were some for $15,000. Gosh, it's crazy. Thumper says he reuses his toilet paper, so paper plates will be fine. Huh. Blue Grit says he bought calipers with the box marked wrong. If I install on the wrong side after bleeding, you get one stop. Second stop goes to the floor. What? Is the bleeder screw on? So you put it on the wrong side, so the bleeder screw is down instead of up? Evans Mopar says 15,000. I wish I could put that kind of money into my cars. There's some stuff that's just, I'm convinced that anybody who likes to waste money, there's someone who sells a product to make them feel justifiable in wasting it. I'm convinced. Cat came back. Yeah, the cat keeps prowling around through here. Left Turn Dodge says when I bought my bed, that was a lot of money. They had one that was $20,000. A bed that you sleep on or a truck bed? $20,000. Hey, boys, it's better to be able to walk into a $15,000 bed to sleep on, $20,000 bed to sleep on. Nope. $20,000 bed to sleep on. I bought a house in this town for $11,000 once. Dougster says in 99, my sister and their then husband built a brand new house and she paid big money for a Sub-Zero refrigerator. Lasted 8 years and wasn't something. Well, I can tell you, we used to service those Sub-Zero freezers at Virginia Tech. Wendy was having air match for that kind of money. Me too. Bit much for a refrigerator. Oscar Walton. You woke Oscar Walton up with that one right there. Yeah. Left Turn Dodge said, I do love my bed. It was almost as much as my truck, the whole truck, not just the bed. Yeah. Now Oscar Walton says hi. Hello, sir. Glad you're here. I wonder if Billy's watching.
He just got home.
Oh, well, I'll show you this. One of my buddies, I don't know why he made this. He had AI do some enhancement stuff on a picture of us at Olive Garden. I'm gonna show it to him, man.
Yeah.
So he had AI do some enhancement on it. It's just ridiculous looking, isn't it? I don't know. I think that picture looks closer to what we looked like 20 years ago than we do now. Crazy. Indirect connections. I sleep better in the truck than at home. Danny Boy says 2,500 is the most I've ever spent on a vehicle. Buff Del Campo says he's here listening. Wanted to say hi. Howdy, Buff. Got my backup Dr. Pepper here. Danny Boyd's read about turning the phone's Wi-Fi off, putting the phone in airplane mode. Well, you could. I leave it on. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, if somebody gets on some text crazy real late, I'll just mute it. But, you know. Dougster says, my friend's natural gas refrigerator is 60 years old and still kicking, keeps stuff cold. I don't even know how those work. I know that's what RVs use, but I don't even know how they work. I do know that my 1952 GE still runs like a champ that I got for $10 at Virginia Tech auction and overpaid. Junkyard J, anyone want to come change a few diapers for me? I will pass. Cope is here, says it's raining. Although, you know one thing, I had forgotten all about this. Many, many years ago, I had some clients who ran I can't think what it was. It was some kind of service that they sold cloth diapers and some kind of eco-friendly something or another. And that was their thing. And so to promote the business, they hosted the world's largest diaper change at Virginia Tech, where as many people, like all these people would simultaneously change diapers and they were setting a Guinness World Record. And so they needed a couple people they knew to sign off as witnesses for the Guinness Record event. And I signed off as a witness. I had forgotten all about that until it came up somehow in the last, few months. I think I saw them somewhere. What a crazy thing, right? Any hail yet? Gosh, I hope not. That's the thing that worries me is hail denting up my cars. Don's talking about the Cast Blast Gray. The CRT does their transmissions. It grows on you. It does. It had to grow on me too, Don. It grew on me. I've really come to like that color on them. Dougie says it burns natural gas to power the compressor. It's pretty simple. Not much different than your electric refrigerator. Yeah, interesting. I mean, where does it vent? I don't even know. I don't know how those things work. Yeah, I don't know how that worked. I just know they had a company. They did that. They were clients of mine. I have some interesting clients who do interesting things. Yeah, I was thinking of the propane refrigerators and campers too. Yep. Ray said we had about 10 minutes of hail earlier. We don't get much hail here, fortunately. Duxter says it has a gas line in and exhaust out, much like your gas-fired water heaters. Okay. Yeah, Thumper says if Nebraska doesn't get hail, it's probably the end of the world. Yeah, I know it's a lot more out there than what we get around here. Duxter says usually RV refrigerators will be both electric and gas powered. I don't know much about them. Left turn Dodge's propane works well as R12 refrigerator. Yeah, I've heard that, but they told us not to do it. Then they came up with this new stuff, and it's pretty much propane. Is it flammable? Yeah, I've heard the propane works great as a refrigerant. Mean Street Mopar. I dropped off some valve springs to the machine shop for them to test and see if they'll work with the solid flat tappet I plan on using. Okay. I'm told it's really flammable. Really? This seems sketchy. Of course, I guess if you got in a wreck, it would limit how much to fire. I guess. I don't know. It's not like there's a source feeding it like a big tank or anything. Danny Boyd's run propane in a couple of cars that I know of. Yeah. Doctor says it's slightly flammable, I'm told. I don't know anything about it. I know when I was in auto tech school, we had to take the ASE quiz to be able to handle R12. I remember doing that. Racer raises, I think the propane refrigerators use heat to induce the refrigerant to move. Left turn Dodge is no more flammable than a lithium battery. Boy, isn't that the truth? I got some neighbors up the street that have a Tesla. They have that thing in the garage and charge it and all that. And I mean, whew, man, one little short on those cars, you will burn your house down. Scariest fire you can have. My dad was a fireman, and he would always talk about different fire hazards he would notice that maybe most people wouldn't. And he had just started to see some of these electric car fires. He just says, "Man, I don't even know how we put that out. It's a Class D fire." I said, "Well, they don't. You can look at them where the fire department's gotten there. There's nothing to even put out. You'll just see the rims standing there, and the rest of the car is just rubble on the ground. They burn that hot." Danny Boy says his neighbors across the driveway have an electric Fiesta or Focus. Yeah. EV catches fire, you just wait. Exactly. I have a cousin who has a a Tesla. Left turn Dodge says the Tesla probably has propane in its AC system. Yeah, I've been seeing people wanting to use the all-electric car AC systems that don't run on the engine. They've been retrofitting them on older cars. I don't know how that's working. Might be viable. Might be a good thing. I mean, truthfully, I would like that better than having that big compressor on the engine, I think. I've never really liked the look of the big compressor on the engine, but whatever. Evans Mopar said a big hailstorm pummeled the outskirts of Spokane 5 miles away, caused extensive damage to many cars. Yeah, I'll tell you, that's the thing I hate about hail is automotive damage. Huh. Left turn Dodge's electric power steering is a temptation for the Model A I'm going to be starting on soon. Guy I went to high school with drove a 29 Model A truck. Huh. Dokester says that Ray's right, no moving parts. The gasket's flame heats a boiler and it cycles the gas to make things cold. Huh. Main Street Mopars. Got to get the rotating assembly dropped off. Okay. Sounds like it's coming together. Mohawk had a 67 Ranchero with a liquid propane tank in the bed and a sprayer under the carb. It was like a nitrous system. How in the world did that work? Ha! Dean Stevenson. If your Tesla runs out of battery power, we can crowdfund a whole ton of 1850 vape batteries. I think they do use like 1850s, in bricks of them hooked up in series and parallel. Like literally about 7 to 11,000 of those batteries in the battery packs. Stovall said, sorry, missed most of the evening, just got home. I did get a video out last week. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And I've been watching. He's been putting out some pretty cool content. He's over 100 subs. I'm going to get out another this weekend. Yeah, man, rock on. The subs will come. Racer Ray says, my old 66 C20 is dual fuel propane and EFI gasoline. Neat. Well, if it's dual fuel propane and gasoline, what changes do you have to make that work? To go back and forth between the two? I don't think I've ever seen that combination. Left turn Dodge says, Stovall, you're close to second. Yeah, I think you only need 7, 8 subs to catch the Mid-South lowballer, and that'd be second place. Dougster says we would spray old Olive diesel pulling tractor, an Oliver, I'm assuming, diesel pulling tractor with propane, just like nitrous. Huh. Stovall's video can be seen here. Lars puts up the link. You can click it in the chat. "131 days, 2 hours, and 14 minutes left." There's more going on out there than there was at 8 o'clock. It's getting kind of busy out there. Indecisive Garage's propane burns similar to gasoline. Injecting it under the car would not give you much more power without introducing more oxygen. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Propane and a diesel makes them a beast. Yeah, that I have heard. Racer Ray says, electric gas pump and electric valve for the propane, a propane carb diaphragm on top of the throttle body. Huh. What a wild setup. Huh. You have a video of that on your channel? I'd like to see that. Mohawk said, solenoids for gas or propane, hit the right switch and it would spray propane into the intake. You had to have the RPMs up before you could switch it over. It was for highway cruising only. Interesting. Ray does all the fun stuff. He does. He really does. Maybe I better introduce the 66 to the world of YouTube. Hey, that sounds really cool. I'd like to see it. Ray does some neat stuff. Old McDonald's going to go break out his pharmacy. Dougster was just trying to get the head gasket to hold on, putting propane in that tractor. Thumper says, I might put my tractor on E85 just for fun. I think you should. That'd be neat. You should have some videos actually making the mash and doing the whole E85 thing where you make your own. Dean Stevenson says, nitrous oxide in the diesel doesn't require an excess fuel factor. It's not more than 25% total peak brake horsepower increase. The stock diesel fuel trim can stay. Interesting. Mohawk said, I only used the propane feature a couple times and ended up trading the car. Huh. This is interesting. Left Turn Dodge asks, Dougster, isn't it kind of normal to mix some water with the propane on the tractors? I have no clue. Stovall says, I once rigged up the updraft carburetor on an 1850 Oliver to run on nitro, pulled it a few times and it was loud and exhaust about killed me. Wow. Dean says the unused fuel factor is the issue when you have an intake that holds more than 10% of the engine displacement. Okay. Huh. Left Turn Dodge says it was a long time, but I worked with a tractor puller a long time ago. Very cool. I know Brer Morrison does a lot of truck and tractor pull stuff now in their post-pro stock years. And they talk about that truck tractor pulling is harder on the crankshaft than anything. I can see that. That makes a lot of sense to me. Levi reports from Taco Bell. Took the Laguna to Taco Bell. Y'all have a nice meal. Thumper puts up a link, Thumper versus the Ford brake rotor. Dean Stevenson says David Vizar's discussion of the transient power of a gain of a dual is not used. You mean fuel? David Vizar to the dual? Who's he dueling with? Fuel ladder not used. Okay, that makes sense. Thumper says I was not having a good time. I kind of assume as much. That's why Lars put up the link. Yeah, Colleen's been lurking. One-eyed cat, you join. I found my spare in my box to go to goodies today. Cool. Good thing to have. Dougster says there's a pulling tractor in his area called the Space Invader. It has 4 jet engines. Only one wheel touches the ground when it runs all 4. Okay, how does that work? Is it literally torqued over so hard that one rear wheel gets air under it too? How is that even possible? Danny Boyd likes watching the road tractors pull. I think pulling stuff is cool. My friend Corey, who I've had on this channel before, I've live streamed with him once, did a video on his demolition derby car years ago when I was a co-host of a small business podcast in the area. We did an episode with him and his heavy towing operation and road service for tractors and diesel stuff, diesel shop. He one time had a pulling truck, a championship pulling truck too. Dean Stevens is backfiring through the intake in a compression engine is interesting on the overrun. I don't know what that means, but it does sound exciting. Yeah, only one drive tire on the ground, the other 3 in the air. It sounds like it'd take a lot of traction to make that happen too. Well, yeah, but you're also pulling that sled, so I guess that makes a lot of sense. I could see that. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I've seen some of those. I've seen some of those wheel standing cars get that way. I actually saw a Drag Boss Tim's Cougar get up on one wheel like that once. It got really squirrely when it left the line, picked the front end up, and it picked up one rear wheel too. And the car came crashing back down, and it was ugly. He had a lot of stuff to fix, but he actually got it up on one wheel one time, at least one time. There's video of it. If you go back and watch, not the one I just did a few months ago, but the one that I did before that a few years ago, live stream with Drag Boss Tim Halstead, Drag Boss Garage, I put up a clip of that wild ride with he and the Cougar on the live. Racer Ray, how would you steer that? I'm sure you don't. Of course, they do have independent rear brakes, but still, I'm sure you just don't. I would say about the best you could probably do is very carefully working that throttle to hope you can get that other end down. I would guess. I mean, you certainly couldn't do a whole run that way. Cut a hole in the toe board to see where you're going. I think most of them do have sight, the ability to sight through the floor. Yeah, independent require the tire to touch the ground. Yeah, I'm sure this up on one wheel off is, I'm sure that's a very temporary, occasional great photo op thing, but it obviously can't run that way. Huh. B&R Racing. Howdy, Brian. Glad you're here. He bought a motorcycle, an 81 Suzuki GS750L. Whatever TSCC is, double overhead cam, 16 valves, 80 horsepower. Been having a ball riding, saving a lot of money for the work commuting. Cool. Cool. Sounds neat. You'll put a video of it on your channel? Duxter said there used to be a guy at the fair that would bring his steam tractor as an exhibition to the tractor pull. He would do a full pull every time, laying on the whistle the whole way. That sounds neat. Indecisive Garage Tim says, one of my fellow racers came off the line so hard it went clear over on the roof at the 60-foot mark. I've seen wheel standers do something like that. I've seen that kind of stuff happen, especially really short overhang cars, something like a Gremlin or something like that. Yeah, do a video on that, B&R. That'd be cool. Yeah, Dougster says they have the ability to divide the power to the rear axle and individual brake. I knew the individual braking, but I guess individual power, individual throttles too, the way those engines are laid out. I would think that that would be entirely doable. Dean Stevenson's talking about a nitrous kaboom. Yep, and with that, guys, we are at our time for the week. Been a lot of fun. It's fun tonight. It's been a blast. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Don't forget to catch your favorite show on Wednesday. Always good stuff going on. We'll be back with you Friday. Who knows? Maybe from here, maybe somewhere else. Well, definitely won't be coming from here this upcoming Friday. We got a surprise coming for you all then. But with that, thank you all. Have a great weekend. And I will see you all again sooner than later. Thank you. Have a great evening.